This is a good time to bring up Henry, who's really one of the only ones to have a worthwhile story arc here. He feels incredibly guilty about attacking Paige while under a spell, and now that she's been hurt, he's just a mess. With everyone else around him having powers, he's sort of helpless as Joe Schmo. I mean, so is Leo, and he spends most of his days around unstable magic teens and the demonic Halliwell children that only let him live as long as he provides the Cheerios, but I digress. Henry wants to be able to protect his family, but he's out of his element. This leads to the Halliwell dad sharing his experiences with Henry, his life being married to a witch, how he left his family and regretted it. While Henry might not have powers, he gives Paige strength, and that's very important. She needs him now more than ever. On the opposite end of the spectrum, there's Coop. Can I just say, this entire time, he is just useless. Might as well be a potted plant. He's not even good for moral support.
Love should weaken the demons enough for you to finish them off.
Oh man, never mind, the day is fucking saved. Well, now that Paige is stuck in Dream World and Piper's hanging outside of the Grand Design in clunky Allegory Land, Phoebe comes up with a way to contact them. What happened to that psychic link they said in like season 6 or something? But hey, why use that when you could use a, power of one spell? Come on now, Phoebe, that's just a spell then, isn't it?
It's the power of Phoebe spell. Do either of you have a way to get back? Possibly. I don't entirely trust it, though. Well, figure it out.
Oh, why didn't she think of that? That's the power of one, baby! And figure it out they do, thanks to Phoebe's stalwart advice. As part of Cole's never-ending path to redemption, he gets Piper out by giving her an apple that, I guess frees her. Kinda giving us mixed messages on the Adam and Eve analogy, but okay.
Crunch.
In order to get out of coma limbo, Paige moves on and meets with her Joker mother and grandmother.
Hee!
Wait, so the afterlife is just some living room somewhere? This is a comic, guys. You could literally draw anything. They end up using the power of her ancestors to bring her back. Well, why don't the elders just do it like they did with her biological father when they forcibly made him a white lighter again? They even reference that he's died a couple of times by now, like the same page. I mean, what else are the elders doing right now? They got their asses handed to them by Tweedledee and Tweedledum up there after their head honcho Brody got double killed. But maybe they should have kept Paige dead for a little while, since I guess anyone, undead or otherwise, can join in the big White Lighter Land battle. What's at stake for the dead people anyway? Like, will they be extra dead if they lose? I'll take it for granted that maybe Brody being deposed sends him to hell or something, but these guys have already moved on, right? During all of this, someone decides to spin the Leo's magical status wheel and lands on something else. So now, Leo grows a pair of wings. Who cares? Everything they make him is sort of a variation of the same thing, right? This is all because of some sword he took from the White Lighter Land vault, and no one really knows what it is, including the elders for some reason, because why would they be aware of what they put in their own damn vault?
If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even exist. None of you would. Are we supposed to have a clue what you mean by that?
Are you shitting me? You just spent like the longest exposition dump ever explaining she was the direct ancestor of all witches, you dumbbell. The power of 3 plus a few hundred will set you free, bitches. They and their ancestors bind Nina's magic together, thus ending this whole spiel. Even though they totally took Nina down, the Angels of Destiny reappear and admit that, yeah, Nina was right. They've interfered too long and should trust humans to live their lives in peace. Wait, if they were controlling everyone's fates and there is no free will, then why were the avatars such big deals? Wasn't that part of their problem? By vanquishing good and evil, no one had free will? Oh, and they're doing away with the cleaners and the elders too, because hey, rules equal taking away free will. And why not just let chaos reign? You know, like a preschool. You should just do away with the teachers and let them have at it. Not that the rules mattered with their army of super babies anyway, but I guess they had to write out a lot of plot holes that contradicted each other. Among the things they do away with is Piper's spawn's potential calling as the new Charmed Ones, which means they'll be good, but won't be under constant threat all the time. A claim I'm not sure about, since they gave everyone free will and there are no regulations anymore. Oh, but then they say maybe they'll still get the power of 3, but if it happens, it'll be naturally and not because of external forces. What in the blue hell is anyone talking about? They're still gonna punish Nina for her crimes, but no rules are interfering, except when they do. In between major storylines, we got this story about Piper, aspiring Octomom. She's telling her dreadful children a sweet bedtime story about herself.
And then the beautiful princess cursed the prince to have hot poker shoved up his ass until the lost remote was found. The end.
You're right, you're right. Perhaps I unfairly portray Piper as a bit of a shrew. Here's something real she says.
Oh, and threatened to blow up the sign painter if he misses another appointment. My time is more important than that man's life.
She was just waiting for the magic rules to go away so she could murder indiscriminately, wasn't she? Anyway, Piper is so busy with the restaurant, she's finding herself spread a little thin. Wyatt wants to spend more time with his mother, so he opens up the totally unattended Book of Shadows and casts a spell of multiplicity to help his mother get everything done. Hey, y'all remember that movie? This is like that, but less fun. Leo notices something a little off about his wife.
Now I'm concerned you're on a different kind of speed.
Classic drug addict Piper.
Don't question me, Leo. Now eat your pancakes like a big boy.
The source of all evil is a snooze to Piper Halliwell, but now she's met her match. Herself. Now there are multiple Pipers, all with exaggerated versions of her various traits. Screaming, bitching, criticizing, griping, blaming, and chef.
Idiot! I warned you to be careful with the saucepans. Hey, don't talk about my staff that way, but tell me more about this bread pudding.
And let's not forget Sexual Assault Piper, every kid's favorite action figure.
I suspected something was wrong. You never want to have sex with me.
I tell ya, it's the nuances that help you tell each Piper apart. Each one has a different stink face. Once she pieces together what happened, she scolds her kids about misusing magic. Hey, I know of a way to prevent these sorts of things, Piper.
We never should have taught him to read.
Oh yeah, that was it.
The angels of destiny give us free will, and 5 minutes later we start letting our kids run wild.
Wait, so does personal gain not mean anything anymore? Is there no punishment for anything? Then why do they have to teach Wyatt about personal gain anyway? Hell, if there are no rules about that, why not just use magic for whatever the hell you want? Go nuts. But Piper comes to a realization. Her child is in pain because he just wants to see more of his mommy. So now that she's aware of that, she takes full advantage of having multiple copies of herself and uses her newly freed time to drink lattes with Phoebe. A powerful lesson is learned by all. This all culminates with Piper finally opening her restaurant, Hallie Hell's Kitchen. Wait, it's opening night and they're super busy. Why is she behind the bar and not helping her staff cook? She's the chef, right?
To Piper!
To Mommy!
Shut up, Wyatt.
Now it's really time for the coop to hit the fan.
Did somebody ask for a creepy asshole?
I never expected such a horrifying backstory behind Cupids, but Charmed fans demanded an explanation, so here goes. Turns out, Cupids are what happens when babies die. Charmed, you goofsters. When an infant dies, they raise them to be Cupids, who I guess just sort of stop aging at some point and become immortal. Aw man, Phoebe and Coops' kids have it made. They're already Cupids, so that means they can never die. And seriously, with how many dead occupations there appear to be in this franchise, it's a wonder anyone rests in peace.
Stupid Cupids keep muddying the underworld with their dirty DNA.
You know what was also in high demand? Coops Backstory. Yeah, can't wait to find out how this cardboard cutout of a man came to be. Makes sense that he died as an infant, though, since he appears to have never mentally matured past that. Well, since he kicked it a couple hundred years ago when he was a baby, he never met his parents and doesn't even know his real name. So, can the other Cupids not tell him? Phoebe digs all of this up, and coincidentally, his real last name is Coopersmith, and coincidentally, one of his descendants is marrying a senator's daughter the next day, and coincidentally, Elise wants the advice columnist, for some reason, to cover the wedding. This is a real opportunity for Poop to learn not only about his relatives, but himself in the process. Will he finally become a worthwhile member of society? Well, not really, but it fills some pages. At the rehearsal dinner, Coop gets to meet some distant relatives, and also they have a cake made of the old Cooper Smith mine, a family tradition for some reason, which, for no reason I can think of, the bride didn't want at the wedding.
But if she can't respect my traditions, how will we survive the marriage? She doesn't want an ugly-ass cake of a mine to be our wedding cake? Well, the marriage is basically over.
Coop shoots his arrow straight into the groom's heart, and not my head like I so desperately pleaded. But apparently, using Cupid magic on someone in your own family line twists it into hate? I don't understand any rules Charmed ever sets up, if I'm being honest. Hey, while I'm talking about Cupid magic, if it's a spell or something, then is it really true love anyway? Why not just talk like a person to help them smooth things over?
I don't know how to explain to him that if they're willing to break up over a cake, it was probably a sham of a marriage anyway. Better just use my magical make-it-better dust on them. Boy, I'm great at my job.
Just assume everything worked out. Anyway, this whole time, Cole is interfering with Coop's hijinks to basically save him from his own stupid self. Not because he cares about Poop or anything, but because it'll hurt Phoebe. What a monster, right?
I can't believe I have so many men who love and protect me. Somehow Cole is at fault for how awesome my life is.
In addition to that, he's been slinking around because he's teamed up with Grandma and Mom Ghost. What the hell? He can just zap up to White Lighter Land anytime he wishes? Why did Nina even need a White Lighter at all? But whatever. He and the old Bags are working together because it turns out, and I'm gonna drop this with about as much fanfare as the comics do, Prue's back. Yes, it turns out the reports of Prue's death were greatly exaggerated. Patty's ghost tells Cole that he has to help them find Prue if the Warren witches are going to convince the elders to let him move on. So basically, he's gotta stay in limbo some more because apparently being possessed and then dying and then helping Phoebe open her heart to love again wasn't enough. It's just an eternity of redemption with that guy. I've got a theory that actually he never escaped hell, and Satan found no punishment worse than being stuck with the Charmed Ones and their family for all time. After 5 years of being dead, I think all Charmed fans were looking forward to Prue's return, so this was pretty much inevitable. Death means nothing in the Charmed universe except when you lose actors, so now that they don't gotta worry about Shannon Doherty, Prue's dead no more. And actually, I'm all for this, because she was the sister that came out the most unscathed. She was gone before the show really started to slide into Queen Phoebe territory, so maybe she can change the dynamic and help balance out the forces of good and evil. You know, the yin to their stinky yang. Let's see how that pans out. First stop on the Find Prue train, go visit an old seer buddy, because working with seers always worked out so well for Cole. But nonetheless, find Prue he does. Seemed kind of easy, actually. Almost like Mom and Grandma Ghost could have done it themselves.
It's almost anticlimactic.
Seems almost anticlimactic.
So here's Prue in a brand spankin' new body. And I understand they didn't have Shannon Doherty's likeness rights, but did they really have to draw her like a scary goblin? And if we're being truthful, the art is so ugly, they could have just said it was her old body, and it wouldn't have looked enough like Shannon Doherty for them to get in trouble anyway. So Prue is now living as Patience, a young woman with a hip haircut who does Salem Witch House reenactments. I bet you're wondering where she got this convenient body from, but it's all cool. It was a brain-dead witch who wasn't using her meat suit anymore anyway. I'm gonna assume she has no friends or family to speak of, otherwise it gets more horrifying the longer you think about it. So what's Prue's deal? Well, she was allowed to join her family and Andy, remember Andy? In the Beyond, but because of the charmed prophecy, her spirit couldn't move on entirely. Turns out, even though she helped them find Paige, the prophecy was meant for Piper, Phoebe, and her. Wait, but if the Angels of Destiny were always doing their thing until recently, why wouldn't they see Prue dying and not fulfilling their prophecy? And I thought the prophecy was fulfilled when Billy defeated Christy, but I guess the Charmed Ones were in the same room? What about the Piper Children Trilogy Charmed prophecy? Is that different? Maybe this can shed some light on the Billy and Christy thing. Apparently Prue being stuck in limbo meant she was tied to her sisters and stopping them from realizing their full power. What? So that's why Billy and Christy were such a threat. Not because they were part of the prophecy, but because Prue's lack of moving on made the rest of the Charmed Ones suck.
Ultimate power, my ass.
Coming back to Earth reunited Prue's bond with her sisters and made them more powerful, which is why they got their new no-budget limit comic powers. However, she can't reunite with them physically because the prophecy didn't say the power of 4. You know, those prophecies that don't matter anymore and don't seem to have any point in being foretold if they weren't gonna happen anyway. Because you see, if they get together, that weakens them somehow, even though her coming back to Earth made them stronger? So now, Cole's new goal is to keep them apart. Just kidding, Paige finds her immediately and it makes their powers go whack, including all of their dangerous and awful children. Wyatt makes a dragon again because he's a sociopath who murdered someone when he was just a baby. Phoebe just flies over a street and no one cares. But don't worry, accidents happen, we'll just get the cleaners. Oh wait. Hey, you know what this is a good time for? Some good old-fashioned Cole blaming.
Seriously, Cole, why come back now? Why come back at all? Cole, what did you do?
Who does your family blame for your problems when I'm not around? Thank you. Also, when you're not around, it's still you. When they're not bitching at him, they're acting like he's a piece of dog poo they just stepped on. Phoebe and everyone else basically just ignore him and get annoyed when he talks. Phoebe's awful as usual, and then you got Coop who's like,
whatever, not concerned about my wife's sex who she constantly blames for everything in her life. Huh, I'm an idiot.
Paige doesn't believe Patience is really Prue because she doesn't look like her, but Phoebe and Piper can smell the Halliwell haterade a mile away.
I'd recognize that soul anywhere.
What?
Prudence Joanna, you named your daughter after me, but you always hated me. I never hated you. We had our problems, but I never hated you.
Okay, so good to know Prue died thinking Phoebe basically wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. Because Prue goes by Patience now, she wants them to call her Pat. So like, nothing about her is Prue anymore. You might as well have just had it be another character. This is strange, considering this is a comic and they could do whatever they want. I mean, if this is the route they were going, they could have done this on the TV show. Paige does not take this as well as Phoebe and Piper. After all, it's going to take some time to absorb the fact the sister she never met and who she replaced in this Power of 3 prophecy is back from the dead and all. Sorta puts her place in the universe into question, which is pretty typical for a Paige storyline. Phoebe, with her restored power of empathy, makes this all about her.
It's not like she had any idea when she woke up this morning she'd be meeting her long-lost sister. Yeah, well, I never expected to run into my ex.
Oh, why don't you go cry about it to your living mannequin husband, you dipshit? Oh, but that's the least of it, guys. No, Cole's clearly not been repentant enough. He's got to do an entire speech apologizing to Queen Phoebe, Alpha and Lego my Omego. I'll spare you, it's barf-worthy. But in a shocking display of some sort of self-awareness, the comics do give us this.
Our relationship wasn't perfect, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't make my share of mistakes. Like becoming the evil queen of the underworld without magical influence, refusing to let you live or die, and then leaving you in the underworld because I was lazy. This is the best you're gonna get from me.
I don't know, guys. The comic is really trying to push this idea that Phoebe is good at casting spells, and that's why she constantly gets Book of Shadows duty. But I never see a single example of this, because she always fails at whatever task is handed to her. Surprise, surprise! She can't find anything on this wonky powers thing. As it turns out, it's not the power of 3 that wouldn't set Prue free, it's that Prue wouldn't let the power of 3 free. So, in order to restore the balance of the Halliwell universe, she's stripped of her powers and the Charmed Ones are reconstituted. Anyway, I know he was kind of a wiener last time, but what if they presented Rennick as like the big bad now? That's cool, right? Supposedly, he got more power from the Source since they saw him last, even though the Source was destroyed and Nina gave all of his powers away. Rennick captures new Chicken Leo, pretty much counting on the Charmed Ones not giving a crap about him or remembering he's gone, which is exactly what happens.
Hey Piper, you notice how you haven't bullied Leo in a couple of weeks? Oh yeah, I thought it seemed quiet around here.
As you recall, Leo has a sweet set of wings now because it was somebody's fanfic fetish. It still causes some problems for him, but luckily he can hide them so as not to be shunned from normal society. The sword seems to be draining his life force every time he uses it, but they don't really know a lot about it. The elders don't know what it is or how long they've had it. Also, it's written about in some book at magic school, which was run by the elders, but oh well, convenient.
We're not reading the books in our curriculum.
Turns out it's the Imperial Sword, forged 2,000 years ago before Whitelighters came about. You know, biblical times. It was a prototype to turn them into Christian angels, basically, but once they decided on the Whitelighter model, they scrapped it, locked it away, and I guess the elders forgot about it. You know how it is. You throw an ancient angelic sword up in the attic, and then you forgot what you even bought it for. It was only intended to be wielded by a magical being, which means it's too powerful for a mortal to use, but also it's bonded to Leo now for eternity. Taking bets on how long that eternity lasts. Rennick mines Leo for information on all of the various occupations he's had. Whitelighter, Elder, Avatar, Handyman, before the Charmed ones realize their favorite babysitter is missing and get him back.
Leo!
But hey, I mean, that's sort of traumatizing, being kidnapped and having your mind violated. Maybe they'll give him a few days off. Just kidding, Prue starts acting like a smarmed one straight away, thinking he should immediately start doing handyman stuff for them.
It would be nice if we had Leo's help on this. He should just get over that kidnapping thing. I died and I'm fine.
And with that little nugget of Halliwell bitch juice, she decides she's gotta go now and take Cole with her. Together, they're gonna guide new witches and continue Cole on his path to redemption. Kinda thought he already fulfilled his promise to find Prue so Grandma and Mom Ghost could put in a good word for him with the elders, but I guess it's not too surprising those gremlins welched on the deal. Wait, why did Patty and Penny want Cole to find Prue again? Like, I get why he's doing it, but what's their motivation? They literally never show up again for this story. But Prue just can't help but get one more dig in, because secretly, she's only taking him along so he won't go evil again around Phoebe.
Even everyone else's story center on I, Phoebe. Thanks for nothing, Cole Brahma.
By the way, I can creepily sense you're going to have another dumb Cupid baby, Phoebe, because shit, there aren't enough kids running around. Bye!
Lordy. Fast forward to the next issue.
The baby's kicking. She does not like this planet at all.
Well, yeah, the baby's kicking. Look at how pregnant size 0 Phoebe is looking. She's not the only one with a new baby. Paige takes in a fully mortal kid who she magically orbed out of his mother's corpse. So, there's a pleasant story for insane old Piper to tell the grandkids. Ah, what's wrong with that baby? Never mind. Go back to the other panel. Anywho, she finds out Henry Jr.'s biological father is a criminal and is shocked that she might have to give the baby up. Dunno why she assumed he was up for grabs because she just took him home. There's usually like a process for that. Not that Paige, an adopted child, would know that. She's not gonna give the baby up without a fight. In fact, she's ready to run away and change their identities. Glad they just reconstituted the power of 3. In order to save money, she magically conjures a detective from one of her pulp novels who proceeds to prove this crime family is no good and put Henry Not Henry Sr. away. Thank God that personal gain thing was done away with. Makes it easy! Volume 4 starts out with what everyone is thinking at this point. Look, they're even afraid to show how pregnant Phoebe is when she's in labor. Heaven forbid she look less than perfect when she's shooting a baby out of her hoo-ha. Say hello to Parker, the newest baby in the Halliwell's preschool infantry. Disgusting. Things seem more off than usual in Charmed Land, as Henry is using magic, and that's kind of uncharacteristic of someone with no magic powers. Basically, this is the story all about how their lives got flipped, turned upside down. Folks without powers now have them. Get on your phones and tell everyone you know about the Halliwell Crones. So magic got all mixed up. Mortals have powers, and the charmed ones have been downgraded to witches solely in the personality department. Now chaos reigns, and I mean that in like the post-apocalyptic Mad Max sense. Apparently, you give mortals powers, and they start looting faster than Prue in a knitwear shop. People are forming magic gangs, there are government squads rounding up non-magical beings and taking them to undisclosed locations. But I mean, what are you gonna do? The elders decided not to interfere. Things are going great. Dare I say, the elders have outdicked themselves? But Piper worries about these new magic users. They don't know about the repercussions, the ones that don't apply anymore and we never saw anyway. And hey, you guys want to preach about following those rules you never bothered with? Why don't you start with Henry making toys out of cigars over there? You shouldn't throw stones in glass houses, you dingle-dongs. Sure, the world has been turned into an insane police state, but the worst part of it all is that Phoebe's book deal has been pushed back. No! After all, who wants to read about love when they can conjure it up? Yeah, that was it. You suck, Phoebe. Things have gotten a little loony, so the Charmed Ones are forced to retreat to the Nox Academy, a neutral alternative to the Harry Potter Magic School, where they teach students how to live normal lives with or without powers. The comics initially start to paint them as an ominous project, but that seems to be dropped, and eventually they just sort of come off like Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and then a homeless shelter. Sure, they're in hiding because of the magic purge, but Paige just isn't convinced the government would abduct its own citizens.
What about those of us who aren't citizens? They blame us for this, even though we're the ones who lost our powers.
Wait, so is the government blaming magic on immigrants? Or is this implying that witches and warlocks aren't citizens of their countries? Seeing as how they're in a war zone, all of their devil spawn are sent to be protected by their dad, except for Phoebe's newest one, the most special little girl in the world.
She's only 3 weeks old. I couldn't do that to her, or him. He's got enough to handle with 7 other kids.
Yeah, you're really helping him out keeping one more baby away when he's got 7 diapers to change. That would have been too much. Also, what kind of logic is that?
We can't keep our kids around DEFCON 1, that's insane. Oh, except for my 3-week-old. I'd be doing her a disservice by sending her away.
Because of this magical switcheroo, Leo has been unable to hide his wings, and it's been draining him. If this keeps up, he's not gonna be long for this world. Well, no problem. Let's just cut those suckers off in the school nurse's office. The fuck? Even if it works, that doesn't mean he loses his powers or that they stop draining him. All it's gonna do is leave some bloody stumps on his back. And wait, why does a school nurse's office have surgical tools or anesthetic or anything? What the hell is going on at the Nox Academy? This back alley wing amputation was being performed by some guy who was an accountant 3 months ago. Like, did the magic swap mean that no normal doctors exist? I mean, if that guy has a healing power, that's cool, but that doesn't give him any surgical knowledge whatsoever. Really gambling with his life here, huh? I think this is all just one of Piper's many ploys to murder her husband. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't work.
Leo, I took time out of poisoning our children for this. The least you could do is get your wings hacked off properly. The doctor did what he could. He promised not to report us, but I wish I had a memory spell to make him forget all this.
I think the magic thing's kinda out of the bag at this point, Piper. With the magic squads and rogue gangs closing in on the school, the Hallie Hells might finally be vanquished. Unfortunately, they get some help. However, I'll accept that, because then the most awesome thing in the entire season happens. Get ready for this, folks. The cavalry's here, and it's motherfucking Magic Daryl Morris.
Turns out I do want to know.
Yes, yes, yes! Amazing! Fantastic! 10 out of 10. Where's our Daryl spin-off, people? If the reboot doesn't have Daryl in it, they might as well close up shop now, because I'll be one unhappy camper. This is probably the most significant thing Daryl's been able to do, like, ever, honestly. The Charmed comics were all worth it just for this moment. The greatest comic panel ever drawn. Damn it, I'm a magic cop! So their hero, and ours, Daryl, is working with the government now, and they want him to coordinate with the Charmed Ones. Wait, so there's evil magic squads, but also Daryl works with them and they're not evil, except when they are? I mean, we never really come back to that kind of horrific storyline. The girls explain all of this craziness has to do with Rennick, which is just a guess on their part, but totally right. What brought them to this conclusion anyway? Why would they think some Darklighter wiener who hates Leo could control all of the world's magic? Surely they fought stronger recurring foes that might come to mind first? I'd believe Barbas, their greatest enemy, over this chuckle nut. Speaking of evil beyond our comprehension, the Charmed Ones are starting to regain their powers.
Let's see if we can kill Daryl again.
Oh man,
As usual, Piper is cranky. She's upset that Prue has fallen out of contact. I mean, their dad doesn't even know she's alive. Well, that's your own fault for not telling him now, isn't it? When Prue does finally show up, we see that having powers again after the switch-up isn't sitting so well with her. The magic is taking its toll on her, because the power of 3 wasn't meant to be in just one of them. Doesn't that make it the power of 1, which was apparently more powerful? And why would it make her weaker? I don't understand this more power makes you less powerful narrative. But anywho, her arrival back in town is apparently what's been returning their magic.
Look, I know there are more important things to worry about, but...
Andy's fine, Daryl. Prue spent time with him before she came back.
He didn't even bring him up. Why the fuck would he be talking about Andy like a decade later? I mean, I guess it's nice to remember he existed, but Paige's gotta be good if she could get any of that out of a Daryl expression. Also, what? Prue spent time with Andy in the afterlife and we don't get to see any of that? Surely he was super important to her character and their first significant loss since unbinding their powers? Nah, whatever. That'd take time away from dumbass Rennick. Prue tells Daryl Andy was watching over him though. What, like a guardian angel? They were the true power couple. Oh, and Cole was helping Prue, and then he just disappeared. But it's alright, because she sees him again shortly when she uses up all of her powers, so it reverts back to the Charmed Ones, ? And then goes to Limbo, where he resides now, ? But it's a different Limbo than the one he was in before. That was the Void. This is the Between, even though they're both described as being between life and death. ? Now both of them are trapped there because the underworld and the overworld are closed off. I don't know, wasn't Cole trapped either way? Kinda how he got shackled to the Charmed Ones until the end of time, as I recall. Once again proving he's far more self-sacrificing than any of the most selfish heroes in the world, he uses the combined powers of the dead not to send himself back, but Prue.
Yeah, right, Cole. This is all some ploy to get me back. I am cursed to be loved by so many.
Please, somebody kill me. Destroy my soul. I just want oblivion. Now that Prue is back, she joins her sisters to train in the fight against evil. Everyone's oddly proactive, but I will remind you, it's because this affects them directly and they have to. I do like that this story explores a bit about Prue coming to terms with not having magic again, accepting who she is, and joining the fight because her sisters need her. It's a bit like Henry's plot, actually. Charmed is better at telling stories about non-magical folks than the witches, and that's sad. But sometimes I give credit to things. Turns out, Prue thought their power stripping spell went wrong and caused this mess, which is why she'd been staying away.
You can start yelling at me now. Nobody's going to yell at you. Like hell I'm not.
But now she's got the scoop vis-a-vis Rennick. He stole the grimoire from the underworld, thus making things topsy-turvy. Using Leo's sword, which he swiped when he had him captive, he used the grimoire to secure himself a place in the All. We also get some hilarious flashbacks to Rennick and Leo's beef, where Rennick keeps killing his charges throughout time. Wait, so I thought Dark Lighters killed White Lighters and potential White Lighters. Are charges just all White Lighters now, or did we forget that they were originally supposed to protect witches? Yeah, it looks like a really intense battle, guys. Both of them just lounging around and talking while Leo looks slightly bummed. I'm just on the edge of my seat. We do get the return of Hippie Leo, though, and that's pretty chuckle-worthy. It would be more interesting if you fought back.
Words are my weapon of choice. Someday I'll get you to see that.
Flower power is no good against my magic. Now, is this before or after Leo most definitely had sex with Grandma Ghost? And wait, we actually get to see Rennick reenact the Thriller music video with dead people and he's dressed like Michael Jackson? What in the world? I mean, I can't decide if that's too silly or just silly enough. Naturally, White Lighters are pacifists, so that's why Leo won't fight back. Seriously, how did the Dark Lighters ever have a problem taking them out? Apparently the impetus for Leo finally vanquishing him was just sheer annoyance. No wonder the Elders rewarded him with a cushy job after that. Apparently all White Lighters are just wimpy windbags that hope that sulking is enough to stop evil from attacking their charges. Leo could have just shoved him really hard and that would have been considered pretty radical. And I mean, he didn't even do a good job anyway, cause Rennick was just faking it. Maybe now they'll leave me alone. You were the one following him, dude. In fact, he was trying to avoid you. Apparently Rennick was just bored with following Leo around to irritate him and wanted to retire, but his seer visits him from the future to say it's his destiny or whatever. Rennick just wants to stop the battle between good and evil because he's tired of it. Well, you got rid of the grand design, right? So what's your beef? And isn't this, like, exactly Nina's story? The woman he teamed up with and lost? Wasn't he saying before he didn't care what she did as long as he got what was left? Was that meant to be a misdirect for no discernible reason? The Charmed Ones visit Rennick's dead seer, Cole's old buddy, to find out what's what.
Time for a Leo exposition dump!
Earth is the juncture point that links the heavens and the underworld with the magic that flows through dimensions. Whoever controls it controls magic and the all blah-de-blah. Long story short, he closed off the demons and white lighters to keep good and evil in their lanes so they won't fight anymore. Except that does nothing. Human beings are both good and evil. That's proven when the world goes to shit once every non-magic person suddenly gains powers. This doesn't change anything. This is so stupid. Not stupid? Magical satellites operated by Team Daryl.
Whatever is there must be too well hidden, even from your magical satellite.
This is the best magical technology we've got. The magic readings are off the charts.
You're a loose cannon, Daryl, but damn it if you don't get a lack of results. This does come in handy for the giant Lord of the Rings-esque battle at the All, featuring all the magical, non-magical friends they got, plus the formerly magical and somewhat restored magical people armed with weapons that were also turned magical due to the magic switcheroony. If they can get Leo's sword back, they can put things back to normal.
Call in the winged air support. Leo can't cover the skies alone. Oh man, this sucks.
Man, Daryl is kicking some ass! If he's doing this much, you can imagine how many swaths of enemies are being cut down by the Charmed Ones.
They don't have any memories or emotions to turn back on them. My magic's useless.
Yep, sounds about right.
I thought Phoebe, like, trained herself to kickbox or something, but she's not even good at the physical fighting. She just leaps at the unguarded sword like a big goober. Master strategist at work here, by the way. I think Phoebe is supposed to be making some inspirational, defiant speech here, but I am just super distracted because her face is turning into that one Cenobite with the scary teeth. You know the one?
After all these years, you still haven't learned that magic isn't about having the most power. It's about how you use that power.
3 pages later.
What I said earlier, Rennick? Sometimes magic is about power.
Well, those are tough words, but can they back up their claims? Well, no, because Prue is the one that saves everyone's asses. By removing the Imperial Sword from the grimoire, she, absorbs the book. Using her new powers, she sends his ass back to, I don't know, is he in limbo? Did he move on? Or is he just hiding behind a bush again until all this blows over? Guess the sword is bound to Leo for eternity. Just kidding, now it's Prue's. Instead of giving her wings, however, I don't know, she just gets a little gray hair and some text on her arm. Wait, so she's not magical anymore, so why isn't it killing her? Is it okay as long as she's got an evil book inside her? The grimoire is like the evil book of shadows. Why the hell is this a good thing? And does this mean she controls magic now? Oh, I don't know. Well, now Prue's new body belongs to her officially, so she doesn't have to go back to being dead. Magic is restored, and conveniently, no non-magical folks will remember any of this because the story says so. Thanks, Daryl!
Oh man.
But they'll never be allowed to forget.
What?
Anyway, I just wanted to say goodbye to
Whatever, get out!
Oh man. See you at home.
Don't stay out too late.
Love you.
Misogyny!
Well, things are wrapping up, but I feel like there's something missing. Huh, right. Phoebe blaming Cole for something again.
Cole, nice of you to show up now that the fighting's over.
Shut the fuck up. If there's anything they love more than switching around Leo's status, it's Cole's. So let's spin the wheel and he's working for the elders now. For God's sake, just let him move on. He tells Prue that now she's the conduit that holds the realms together and can never leave the limbo between worlds. Since she'll be stuck in a boring living room forever now, he'll be her messenger whenever she needs to get in touch with her sisters. Wait, so why can't they visit her?
Sorry, writing my column. I'm deciding if I like magic or not. I got children.
And the power of 3 or 4 totally trap Prue forever. The end. So, with season 9 wrapped up, what's the overall feeling? Well, it's not great. I can't say it's as infuriating as the show got, but it's still confusing and shockingly low quality. I mean, this is just laughably bad. It's hard to look at. I was interested to see where they would go with it once they did away with budget constraints, network requirements, and missing actors, and then they just kind of threw it away. It didn't feel that much different than if all these things were still a problem. Everything felt kind of small and limited. They kept writing out characters you wanted to see more of, while having zero ideas for anyone that was still around. Bonus points for Daryl though, cause that was genuinely awesome. I did appreciate that the girls spent more time being proactive and less complaining about having to save people, but it all sort of felt ho-hum. I did definitely get some chuckles, though I can't say it's essential reading even if you're a Charmed fan. So, with all of that said and done, there is a season 10. Do you want to see me cover it? Well, you're gonna have to let me know in the comments. In the meantime, we've got another rabbit hole to fall down with the new series. So I hope you guys join me as we experience the madness all over again. Thank you so much to everyone at Patreon for getting me to this milestone. You've made me truly charmed. If you'd like to support the show, get early access, or other bonuses, check me out at patreon.com/movie nights. Or just click subscribe here. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll be seeing you around. Something wicked this way comes.